Hi, everyone. My name is Michal Franczak, and I'm a product manager working at Dynatrace. And, well, my clicker is not working. And I have way too many hobbies. But it's not about me, not about my hobbies today, because today I will talk about making your data actionable, especially in the context of observability data. Why observability? Well, mostly because I work at Dynatrace, and we provide observability and security platform for analytics and automation. But before I go to the details, let me quickly walk you through my career. I was a software engineer, team lead, and a CTO. Well, that was quick. That was quick because my presentation is not about me, it's about observability. With every role that I had, data and data-driven decisions were really important. First of all, when I was a software engineer, I used traces and logs in order to troubleshoot my applications, debug, and optimize. When I was a team lead, we were responsible for image processing algorithms and the underlying storage and infrastructure. Then, metrics, dashboards, and all the visualizations and performance of those algorithms were really important in order to succeed. In the role of the CTO, SLOs, SLAs were critical. We wanted to know how the technology, how the department that I led was driving our business. And as you can see, data was always there, was always important, no matter what I was doing through my career. But the focus was a bit different. And honestly speaking, focus wasn't the only thing that was changing throughout those years. Many monoliths had become microservices that were running in the clouds, spread around the globe in a serverless manner or on virtualized hosts, and later as containers in Kubernetes. So the landscape was different. The complexity of the systems was really getting higher and higher. Of course, in the very beginning, it was quite easy to get to the data, to learn from the data using the native tools that were provided by the technologies. But more often than not, we had to consolidate all the data to a single source of truth to get our dashboards, get our alerts, and our automations. The problem with that approach was that we had to transfer the data from multiple locations, from different tools, different sources. And this integration layer was actually a project on its own. And I think that this kind of setup can be familiar to many of you. You push one data types from different sources to a single source of truth, and this can be cumbersome. If this is not familiar to you, then I can assure you that this is actually what we hear very often from our customers, like Fortune 500 customers up to unicorn startups. They all have similar setups, meaning that they run integrations in order to get their data into one place to make better decisions. So you may wonder now, yeah, then where is the problem? Just get me all the data, put them in a single place, and we're good. What is going on, right? Problem solved. Well, not really. Year after year, our systems are becoming more complex. We are collecting more and more data, and the volumes are rapidly growing. And as a result, the cost of maintenance of all the data is also growing, especially if you need real-time access to your data to make the decisions. And what is even worse is that actually only a fraction of this data is ever used. Of course, there are different use cases. Sometimes, for security investigations, you probably need to scan more data to get your answers. But for some of the use cases, it's just a tiny fraction of what is really needed. This might be not that problematic, but the problem is that with this approach, you can actually miss the signals and the insights that can be important at the given point, in time. Very often, when different techniques for cost optimizations are applied, like, for instance, shorter retention period for your data, you're actually missing on the data that could be useful at the given point of time. So the question is, how to overcome all of those constraints in order to build a culture of data-driven decisions and get the best out of the signals that we are already collecting or we have to pay for? My answer to that is to make your data actionable. And to make your data actionable, you need to take at least 3 steps. Step number 1, make your data accessible. Step number 2, get trustworthy insights from the data you collected. And step number 3, automate your work. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about in this presentation. So let's get right to it. Make your data accessible. What I mean by that? Just a short recap. You remember this landscape. Multiple technologies, different systems, different applications, running in many different setups, then different tools giving you access to this data, various integrations running here and there, basically one big problem. And that might surprise you, but actually, for Dynatrace, this observability pattern isn't much different. We also run multiple integration to collect all the data from different data sources, put them into a single place to get our dashboards and alerts. But what is actually different for us in our monitoring strategies is that the underlying tool that we use is our platform. This is the analytics and automation tool for observability and security. What I mean by platform? So a platform is a set of many technologies that are enabling different use cases, from infrastructure and application observability towards security and automation. It also provides building blocks to set up your own solutions, for your dedicated use cases. But the underlying paradigm here is that the set that empowers all these tools is a contextualized set of data that you get from different sources that is optimized for cost efficiency and queries for the data. You can think about this platform as an operating system. So imagine that you just got this brand new computer, you just power it up, you open it, and probably expectations of many of you is that the basic stuff is already there. You have your calculator, you have your email, you have your internet browser that is easy to use by you or your grandma. But there are definitely some of the use cases that will require more advanced knowledge, more advanced commands, more advanced settings in order to make sure that the computer helps you in your daily work. And you need a way to communicate with this computer, with the set of commands or technologies that this operating system supports. And for all the data platforms around the globe, the common thing to communicate with it is a query language. For instance, for us in Dynatrace, it's the DQL, a query language that allows to query for all the data that are stored in the storage. This is very important that everyone, every participant of any data platform has the knowledge about this query language, because then it's way easier to understand each other and what is the data set that we are actually trying to retrieve. The next thing of every platform is that this platform has to be open for extensions and that everyone can participate. So for instance, in Dynatrace, we are providing the same tools for our internal developers as for the partners in order to build their use cases on top of it. These are the building blocks. For us, these are the platform services that give you access to the data, as well as the app engine that provides you ability to set up your own use cases in the form of an application that is written in React and uses an optimized for analytics design pattern system. We call it Strato, but there are many design systems and many unified ways of visualizing data in different tools that you use. The main importance about the unified way of visualizing data is that because of that, you can easier focus on the meaning of the data and not about the look and feel and graphic. So there are no disruption, nothing is preventing you to understand and quickly communicate or what you find. Because in the end of the day, what really matters is the collaboration. It doesn't matter if it's Dynatrace, if that's any other data platform. The most important aspect is that you can share the results of your findings, of your investigations with your colleagues. This is what making data accessible really is about. So it's in a digestible form, easy to understand by everyone, and that there is an underlying common language that helps everyone to understand what we are really querying. But of course, with all the data that are around there, making data accessible is just the first step. It's the first step because in today's world, we have so much data, petabytes of data generated every day, and this manual analysis simply doesn't work. That's why we need to make sure that we can get trustworthy insights from the data that we are constantly collecting. If we look at the Dynatrace platform once again, the paradigm of making data accessible was more of this advanced use case in the operating systems analogy. And trustworthy insights are the out-of-the-box value that you get with every platform. So the basic techniques that allowing you to access the data. For us, it means all the use cases from the infrastructure and application observability towards security and automations. This is very important that those use cases are using all the technologies that are in the platform as well as the storage for optimized queries. And since I'm a product manager, I will tell you a bit more how we are approaching the problem of delivering trustworthy insights on our platform. It's quite simple. We drink our own champagne. What I mean by that? We are customer zero of our own solutions. It means that we are monitoring Dynatrace with Dynatrace. We simply use our own software. This really helps us on making continuous improvements on the things that we are working on, and really shortens the feedback loop in order to focus on the value and experience that later we share with our users. Let me give you a practical example. Probably many of you use cloud providers in your workloads. It typically starts very nicely and smoothly. You simply open a console, you spin up new resources, everything is great. But then the reality hits and your organization becomes more and more complex. You're running additional resources in multiple providers. You try different services, or different teams are using different services. And then suddenly you start to ask yourself, well, why it got so expensive? Who is actually running this expensive Kubernetes cluster, and what the hell is doing this crazy expensive machine somewhere in East Asia? And you know what? We also had the same problem. That's why we built a holistic overview of all the cloud resources to control your costs and inventory. And we're using it every day for our own needs. That's why by using our software and delivering this domain expertise in the form of our applications, we are helping our users and giving trustworthy insights because we are using this on our own. You may say now, yeah, okay, does it mean that on every data platform I need to code my custom extension, give the platform the domain expertise, the knowledge in order to get value out of it? Well, not really, especially not in the era of AI. At Dynatrace, we have a long history of using AI algorithms, especially in the predictive and causal AI. And now we are fueling our generative AI with the prompts based on predictive AI and causal AI. Because probably you all heard that your ChatGPT responses are as good as your prompts. That's why in order to give trustworthy insights, we are focusing on delivering the context based on predictive algorithms that are trustworthy forecasting algorithms or anomaly prediction that are based on machine learning and statistics. An additional context is given by the causal AI model, which is a model that shares the domain expertise, the context, the topology that allows you to traverse through all the resources that you are monitoring. Additionally, on top of this, we are applying the semantics that come from different telemetry. For instance, we understand that there are logs that are marked as errors that can be a meaningful signal to your generative AI that are giving you recommendations that you can trust. Trustworthy recommendations are very important in the next step of our journey to make your data accessible, so making automations using data. Why automations? Well, everyone on this planet, me, you, or Beyoncé, we all have 24 hours a day, and probably we don't want to do all the boring tasks. We should rather offload them to our computers. But before we jump into the details, let's talk a bit more about the theory first. So the portal Geeks for Geeks, it's a portal that helps you to pass your recruiting session or your interview, defines 3 types of automation: fixed, programmable, and flexible. When it comes to fixed automation is a simple steps of always performing the same tasks no matter what. Programmable automations, on the other hand, require an operator in order to execute different automations in the sequence that is desired. And the last part, the flexible automations, are the automations that can produce different sequences based on the decisions that the algorithm took. So the operator part is also automated. When I think about automations, the first thing that comes to my mind are the cron jobs. Well, cron jobs allow you to execute scheduled tasks. In order to execute scheduled tasks, you need to define the schedule. When do you want to execute a task or on what interval? And you need to define what the automation has to really do. And typically for the observability platforms, the automations are somewhere further from the data. That's why additional layer of integration is needed. On micro level, that's pretty simple. To build an intelligent script, you simply call an API, you get the data, you execute your algorithm, and the world is safe. But in reality, when you build more and more automation further from your data, further from your context, and something suddenly goes wrong, you probably need way too many people and way too much time in order to solve the problem. That's why we think that to build successful automations, you need to combine data with automations in a single place so that all the events and all the data analytics are working together. And you can define then the triggers that are coming based on the schedule or based on the AI or trustworthy signals built by your teams. So for instance, here at Dynatrace, our workflows allow you to respond for the triggers that, for instance, AI defines for you, get additional information just in the context of a given problem that was identified by the AI, and also add additional tasks, additional intelligence in order to give more insights to the person that will take care of the automation. Is it a computer or a human being? Because you can build different automations for observability. The most simple one would be, okay, I detected a problem, just get all the data and create a Jira ticket, someone will take care of it. Or you can build more sophisticated solutions where you validate your deployments, you collect all the additional information, and if something goes wrong, you simply roll back the deployment and contact all the people that are responsible for a given system. Of course, possibilities are endless in such a setup. AI is evolving really quickly, but then you need to ask yourself, how much automation is good for me? There is no good answer to that. It's always about you, your use case, and in the end, your decision. But no matter what you decide, you need to make your data actionable first, especially if your goal is to automate your work and save time. You start with making your data accessible to everyone in your team, as well as for the AI algorithms that you maintain, in order to get trustworthy insights that afterwards can drive your automations, no matter if they are fixed, flexible, or programmable. Everything starts here with data that are actionable. And that's how we got to the end of this presentation. Maybe just a bonus from my side. Since I work in product, I can only recommend you to drink your own champagne, use the software that you're building, and honestly, if you can't do it, then probably use some open source projects. Then please contribute, because sharing is caring. Thank you very much for attending this session. If there are questions, please don't be shy. Raise your hands, and I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, so I do have a question about the trustworthy insights. So is there any way those insights could be explained on the platform? I mean, I would like to, for example, look under the hood and look at the data in the context of the specific produced insight. Is there any way to do that?
Yeah, exactly. And that was the key of making data accessible to and in a single platform to all the participants. So the computer algorithms and the human being. So behind every automation, behind every signal that is generated by AI, there are data. And you can always dive deeper because the data are very close to the algorithms and very close to the signal that was reported. Yes, that's the fundamental thing of building a trust towards AI algorithms.
Yeah, so based on the insight, I can just look at the data I have in some other part of the platform, right? Or
Exactly.
can I reference this data right through the insight? For example, I have the insight displayed, some kind of guidance in case of issue, and can I from there just have a look at this specific data and don't go through the number of dashboards, etc.?
That's exactly the point. AI reports a signal and automatically narrows down the data that is important for you for this specific problem or anomaly that was detected, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Please raise your hands. There is one at the end.
Can you tell us how long does it take to integrate the Dynatrace in a real-life example? Like imagine you have one AWS cluster, so is it hard to integrate it?
We're jumping into the details. I'm also happy to talk to you about this at our booth. But in a nutshell, we have a technology called One Agent that you simply install it across your workloads, and it gets all the data and sends it directly to Dynatrace with this buffering and trustworthy channels that are always keeping your data and ensuring that they will arrive in a contextualized manner. If you want to know more details, I'm happy to tell you more at the Dynatrace booth at the left corner outside the expo. But in general, we are supporting integrations and easy installers that are there to get all your data so that you don't have to do all the wiring and manual configuration of different forwarders or agents. I hope this helps. Any other question? There's also one at the end.
I wanted to ask about the slide with the levels of automation. And it seems, do I understand it correctly, that the automation on the right is basically having the tools, and the middle one is like having common components that you connect together, while the left one is just full automation? Is that?
Yeah, you can think about it.
There
are different dimensions to those types of automation. The fixed one is always an automation that you can execute, always trust, and it will always do the same. There is no intelligence. The one in the middle, programmable automation, the thing is that there is always an operator that has to decide on the sequence of the actions that are delivered by the automation. So it combines multiple fixed steps in an order that you decide. And the flexible automation can decide in which order to execute certain automations based on the signals, based on the data that are provided to the entire algorithm. So it's not always the same automation that will be executed because it depends on the context in which the automation is executed. Hope this helps. Any other question? If not, then thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Bye.